All right. So welcome to Game Plan Sunday. Today is November 1st, and we're here with the squad. Take a look at what occurred over the past week in the markets, what we noticed coming down the pipeline. Take all the information and strategize so we can get some money. All right. So this week, you guys already know it's going to be dynamite, action packed. I don't know if you ever traded during the elections, but for some of you OGs out there, you guys already know what time it is. I believe that we're going to see unprecedented volatility this time around. So we'll get into it. It's interesting is that the markets actually sold off this week. We had earnings that came through. Earnings were actually looking pretty good. And then we got the sell-off at the end of the week. And so I believe that's what's actually happened is that the markets is pricing in a Biden victory. Markets is going good. And I believe at the end of the week, maybe the markets had a change of heart. Okay. So either way, I believe Wall Street is going to benefit, but it's one of those situations where you really got to, pick this thing apart. And like I said, they have analysts there that are very, very, teams of analysts that are very qualified running data. But with the level of volatility that we're getting, the data itself, the statistics itself, you could just throw it out the door, right? So that's what we talked about last week. We were saying that there's no statistical models that can even, predict this thing. It's too much volatility. So you can throw the statistics out. The numbers are not going to help you out. And so last week, the thing that I told you we was going into last week is don't be a hero, right? And so it was all about not being a hero, take them profits often. We did catch some really nice plays in the group this week. Again, if you guys haven't, check out the website, check it out, wallstreetjackboys.com. Registration is free. In the chat room, we get it popping, and you can see the plays are all up in here. This is things that we go through on the website itself. So just taking a look at that. Let's actually just go back just a tad bit here, and so you guys can see what we were talking about going into this week here. We were seeing coronavirus spikes out in Europe. Okay, so this is something that was going into last week. The VIX started jumping. Somebody woke the VIX up. You guys know when the VIX be sleep, that's when you pile in. When the VIX wake up, you make your money, right? So anyway, the VIX woke up. VIX started spiking over Europe. We have France, Germany lockdowns, and then on Saturday, which is yesterday, the UK they went on lockdown, right? And so you can see this trend, right? We can just forecast, pretty much that much. That the virus spikes are also spiking in the US also. And so the question is, will the US go back on lockdown, right? So that really depends on who's going to be the president, I think, because Trump already said that he's not going to lock nothing down. When Biden becomes president, you're definitely going to see lockdown. So Trump is going to let it roll, continue, right? I mean, he's not, putting on lockdown. He wants people to just get used to having a virus. Now, that's an interesting perspective, right? And just think about it. What's wrong with that perspective? I don't know. I just think you should still consider it, because I was listening to the CIO of Bridgewater, and he was saying over in China, their office in China is wide open, right? And he said the office is wide open. People are shoulder to shoulder working with no mask, and they're in China. Now, this whole virus came from China. And so my question is that, okay, what is it that China knows about this virus that we don't know, right? We're panicking. We're doing all this. They over there with no mask. They having big lavish parties and all of that. Is this thing really as deadly as, the news and the media is actually making it out to, And that's no disrespect to anybody who has lost their lives through the virus. I lost my grandmother and my grandpa at the same time this year. But, it's one of those things where it really makes you wonder. And I think that you cannot rule that out. What if the whole COVID situation is pretty much like the flu? I mean, you can't get rid of it. Then what? And we're seeing, majority of people, 99% of people who get it are actually recovering, and there's no vaccine. I also question the whole thing about a vaccine. Do you actually need a vaccine if people's immune systems are actually overcoming this thing? And, what would a mandatory vaccine look like? Will the people accept that, and allow that to happen? Or will the people fight back? These are things that there's no model that can actually predict that. It's human action, right? Ludwig von Mises, famous economist, who talks about praxeology, which is human action. Again, I definitely recommend his work to you guys so you can start to learn about these things. This is a book right here. This book right here, Theory and History. Add this to your library. I'm telling you, this is a game changer. This guy wrote this book in the 20s, okay? And it's just accurately calling out everything that we're seeing today. I mean, this guy, they call this dude Mises Christ, like Jesus. You know, he's like the father of Austrian economics. You guys know I've been studying Austrian economics. So, but anyhow, give you a lot of insight. And you know, when you study economics, you're thinking about, you know, a lot of numbers and stuff like that. But this guy's like, nah, you know, economics is about human action, and you can't, like, you know, quantify certain things. So he has a different approach to the science, and this is why Austrians are very, very skilled at explaining the causality. They focus on causality, causes of these things. They really pinpoint it out because it all boils down to human action versus a number. You know, some of the numbers that we're seeing don't even make any sense. And I think as a society, sometimes we put too much emphasis on the numbers. You know, you can't math something into reality, right? So just keep that in mind. But I say that because, again, we want to see so much volatility that there's no models that can actually predict what's going to happen. So you could throw it all out the door. All right. And I'm a guy who has actually written models. I'm actually working on some machine learning right now. But anyway, the spikes, you know, we're seeing that. I think we're going to see more of that. Let's see. Okay, so this is something I posted about. Okay, yeah, so this is like the worst week before the election in history. Look at this drop down here. This is, again, right on the website in your news feed. So you guys can check this out. Any news that you guys catch and drop it in the feed. All right, this is the spot. Just like you on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you come here and get that information. Wall Street Jack Boy is a huge resource place, you know. So whether you even trading or you're not, you can come here and get the resources. It's free, right? So anyway, you see the election slump. And this is why I was saying that, you know, maybe the markets is having second opinion about this Biden sweep with that sell-off, right? They were really enthusiastic about him winning because the polls are showing so. And we know that Wall Street has a lot of money behind Joe Biden. And so that's why you say Wall Street is skewed to a Biden victory, right? And that doesn't surprise me. You got guys like Bloomberg who actually, you know, run from the Democratic Party. And if you guys don't know anything about, you know, corporate finance, a lot of these companies are running you know, Bloomberg terminals. I don't know if you know what a Bloomberg terminal is, but I actually have a Bloomberg certification. I did some training on it. It's pretty awesome. I mean, that's why I was saying, you know, these corporate guys, they're analysts, they have their hands on so much information that we just, you know, in order for us to get it on, you got to spend all kind of money. And these Bloomberg terminals are, I think, about $25,000 a year just for the license. Okay. So most people just can't even afford that. And if you can, it still don't even make sense for you to do so. But they got, you know, pretty much their hands on the world. Oh, Zay, this is the book, Ludwig von Mises. Let me see if I can get you closer on it. Yeah, you just look up Ludwig von Mises, Theory and History. This book right here is just crazy. I mean, it's crazy, man. I would love to go into depth. You guys ever have any questions about it? I definitely, you know, go over some of the material. It is phenomenal. And again, he's the father of Austrian economics, basically. You got Karl Menger, but, you know, this guy right here is, they call him Mises Christ. He has the answer for everything. That's what my wife says. She's like, Mises know everything, don't he? I'm like, I mean, he kind of do. And you see guys like Peter Schiff, who's pretty awesome at the skill of debate. He is a student of Austrian economics. You see a lot of gold bugs and stuff like that. And why they calling things out, that's the school. So anyhow, back to this. I'm thinking that just taking a look at this is that the election, yeah, Wall Street, I think, is getting cold feet about this whole Biden sweep thing. I don't think that that's what it's going to break out to be. I think it's going to be a really close election. And again, right here in the events calendar, you guys can see some of the events are highlighted just like this, you know, election, November 3rd. You guys already know. All right, you got that. That's happening right now. You can see the preview of the ADP numbers that's coming up on November 4 and the ISM service numbers. So you can see these things right here on this window. But if you want to actually see everything that's coming down the pipeline, you just click over into your events calendar, which is right here on the side. All right. Okay. And you can go backdate and backtrack certain things if you want to go back. So that's what we're taking a look at. I'll talk about the whole cryptocurrency group here in a second, which is new. So I hope you guys are excited about that. But basically we had the numbers, unemployment numbers, as I highlighted up here. The numbers were pretty much sideways. I mean, you know, you could just take a look at the chart. You're going down slightly, but again, it's really not much of a traction. We're not seeing anything that's, spikes in the data. So it's pretty much, still trending sideways. I would say slightly lower but it's not, it's not a big factor here, right? So you saw initial claim 751,000. It was a decrease of 40,000 from the previous week. So I keep on going back and forth. So to me, that's just chopping around. All right. I also wrote in here that there are fears that a second wave of the coronavirus during the fall and winter months could lead to more layoffs. Now, that's something to keep your mind on, but we haven't seen it in the data yet. All right. But that's a risk that we definitely have to worry about, more layoffs. Even before COVID spikes reemerged, major companies have been thinking about culling their workforce to reflect new realities in a pandemic and post-pandemic world. Many businesses are. And then you can just click this read more to continue. But basically, these are things that you have to, we have to keep in mind as a particular risk. This is the importance of the stimulus package. So the stimulus package itself is important because these companies are depending on it. And so you're looking at who's going to benefit from stimulus, and then what kind of stimulus are we going to have when we get a stimulus? I mean, either way, we're going to get a stimulus, right? So the stimulus, you got the Democrats is holding out. The Democrats, again, trying to make the Republicans feel this pain. Trump feel this pain. That's why you held off for it. And they figured, hey, if we get Biden in, we can go pass a bigger stimulus than the one that, Trump is going to pass. Right. But you just can't print money in infinity. You just can't just spend all kind of money. I mean, these things have, terrible consequences, terrible outcomes and things like that. And I was telling you guys about, Ray Dalio, this body of work here. I know you guys, he's on a new series that drops this month. So make sure you get your hands on that, about the currency and all the other stuff. But the big debt crisis, this is a body of work. There's 3 volumes in here, right? I mean, this is crazy. So this is stuff that he's been talking about years before he's starting to come out talking about stuff now. They help me with my analysis about this stuff. But the crazy thing is that the debt cycles themselves, I mean, this guy right here, okay, him and F.A. Hayek, these are the guys who actually found the debt cycles. These are the guys who identify the debt cycles and the causes of those. So the causality is what they focus on, right? So again, all great bodies of work. Make sure you check that out. But also, just taking a look here, we had the GDP numbers that came out pretty good. If you could take a look at this chart, you can see, okay, this is second quarter, this is third quarter. To me, that's it's a non-factor, right? I mean, if you were down here and then you were down like this and you just get this $1, you pretty much flatten out here, but you still actually really are here when you weigh it all together. And so I think the Wall Street investors were expecting the markets to kind of rally behind this. But again, this is all distortions. This is all debt that's funding this. There's no productivity. All right. And the economy is shot. All right. But this is all debt spending. Again, a lot of these companies are going to have to close down. So anyway, that was the GDP number that came out this week. That was interesting. Here we go. I took a snippet of this, and I was telling you guys about the CIO Bridgewater. Okay. And these are some of the highlights he was talking about. China rise is ushering. I just go over the highlights. China rise is ushering in a changing world order with Beijing at its center. The dynamic is expected to continue regardless of whether or not former Vice President Joe Biden wins the general election next week. It actually doesn't matter. Okay. The whole situation with China is going to continue. Like, we're at a point of no return, basically. This is what the CIO of Bridgewater is talking about. He said it has a lot of implications. It's not just a trade war. This is what Ray Dalio told Yahoo. And he's been speaking out a lot this week too, so make sure you catch his interviews. He said, so the markets and everything were reverberating the trade war, the technology war, the geopolitical war in Taiwan and the South China Seas, the capital war, blah, blah, blah. He has all these different wars that's happening that he's identified in his new body of work that's coming out this month. But this was interesting because it's just really talking about the war with China. We are at war with China. Okay, it's not a military war. There's different levels of war that takes place before military wars take place. And that's what Ray Dalio has been talking about. And this is like a good focus. And so whether you say that COVID was a biological warfare, since it came from China, but who knows that China created it? I don't know, could be anybody, maybe somebody framing it on China. Who knows? With government, you got so many scandals and crazies. Who do you believe? We just know that it came from China. That does make things interesting. You got Trump, who is hostile towards China. You have Biden, who is actually going to be more friendly to China. So we'll talk about that as well, as far as outcome of the presidency, who are going to be the winners and who are going to be the losers, right? All right, cool. Next up, Bitcoin up against the resistance. Okay. This is I was calling up about Bitcoin up against this zone up here. And also, I mean, I got this notification here, right? And this is from TD Ameritrade. You guys know we have TD Ameritrade, and it was actually giving a warning about the volatility this week. All right. So again, this is what they're talking about. Okay, and this is from my Forex account. So, prepare for extreme volatility. All right. Again, this is on the site, so you guys can check it out. But you definitely got to pay attention to it. And they're trying to give you heads up, liquidity issues. And so you guys remember we had the markets crashed in March. You guys remember when we had those circuit breakers? Okay. When we had those circuit breakers in the market, listen, we could be back at that point where the circuit breakers start to trip again this week. So do not try to be a hero. You have to brace yourself for chaos. All right. So again, they're giving a heads up. I'm giving you guys a heads up. That's what the expectation is. And I also posted this on the site. Okay, economic outlook for 2020, 2021. This is a debate with Stephen Moore, Peter Schiff, and Edward Yardeni. These guys are all great economists with different points of views. So it's always good to get that balanced perspective. But check out the arguments that's on display. I don't even think this was long. I can't remember. I saw it a couple of days ago and I posted here. So you guys can check it out and get a grip on the big picture, right? Most traders are all into the minor things. They have no idea what's happening. They just see things moving and they just follow into it, and that's fine. But for those who actually want to know more, this is great information for you to actually learn. All right. So to each his own. I posted this here because this was and my guy has a crypto group. This was a chart that I had posted about this target up here, and I can show you guys on my live chart. But this is back in so this is back in June when I posted this forecast for crypto. All right. So I posted this forecast for crypto. You guys can see that. Okay. I had all these signals and I had this target at 14,000. This is on June 1st. June 1st. Okay. So again, you can see the movement, price move here, price move here. I caught a buy trigger that was right here. We had a squeeze that's right here. I had buy triggers right here. So again, as you guys know, crypto or Bitcoin has been actually behaving towards my technical analysis. And so I find value in it at this point because we're seeing that it's coming to fruition. So this is the call. We have some levels up ahead. So I marked those key levels, but the target X marks the spot. All right. So and I'll show you guys on my bigger charts, we had these levels that were overlapping right here at this target. So that's what I was looking at. This means that, hey, get in down here. Okay. Get in right here, exit right here. That's X marks the spot. Now you can blow through that. Okay. But it might not blow through that. You never know. So we want to actually just trade with definitive plans and technicals. Okay. You can always get back in, but don't try to be a hero. All right. So that's for you crypto enthusiasts. Also, since I'm talking about the crypto enthusiasts, this week I did create a crypto gang for you guys that's into the crypto world. Also, see, the website just locked me out. You guys can log into the website with the social icons also. So just keep that in mind. You can log into the site with your social icons. It just gives you guys an option so that you can log in easier. Okay. And so when we get into the website, bingo, this is a new crypto group for anybody that's interested in crypto. I know some of you guys like me trade crypto, been doing it for a little while. But this is a place for you guys to put your information there, or a place that you can come and get, information about crypto. I don't always follow crypto. I am not the crypto expert. I know that my technicals have been behaving towards crypto, so I will provide my insights on it. But I am looking to grow this group as well. It's free to join. So if you know somebody who's into crypto, invite them on over. You guys join the discussion. Okay, so there's a couple of different charts in here, a couple of resources in here. Okay, a few people that has joined. So again, this is our platform. I love it. This is not, Facebook is not YouTube. I actually get to create anything that I want, right? Unlike having Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey and these guys control the narratives or whatever's being said. This is our platform. So whatever you guys want, whatever y'all want, any other product groups or whatever, let me know. We can make it happen. Okay. We are looking for more subscribers so that we can deliver more technology to you guys. Again, a lot of this stuff, it costs money. So there's nothing that's actually free. So although I'm giving it for free, I mean, it's coming at an expense somewhere, right? So just keep that in mind. The more that we, more group members that we have, the more people that, can purchase the educational classes and stuff, I can pour back into this thing here, from that. So just keep that in mind. All right. So let me actually just pull this back down. Okay, again, this is the dashboard. All right. So let's get us off the site. Let's get to the charts. All right. So taking a look at the charts here, we got the ES, the S&P 500, now trading below its 100 moving average. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this zone that we're in right now, I'm going to switch us over to yellow, is that the prior high before the crash, okay, is right here at this 618 level. Okay. And so once, the price broke that zone, confidence broke as well. And this 100 moving average is a key floor that has also been breached. So the question is, since we have breached this zone, do we come to this next zone right here at the 1272 extension, this support level here, 3120. Okay. This is very, very possible. I think that we could come down here at this zone. This is going to be a key level. Okay. I'm not seeing any signs of reversal yet. This could reverse because we are headed to oversold territory. Okay. But again, these could stay further, down. And with this election, I'm not trying to make sense of the charts because of the election. The level of volatility is going to be stupid. All right. So, but just keep this zone right here in mind, this 3120, okay, as a support zone. Okay. We already had this double top setup, and the double top setup will indicate something of this nature. It could go even further. All right. Really depending on this election. Also keep in mind, we do have, we had some of the big boy earnings that came out last week. I mean, all the big boys came out, and this was the outcome. Okay. And they had good earnings. I mean, you got earnings still coming out this week, but it's no big boys. Okay. We got some economic data coming out too. We got the ISM numbers. We had the ADP numbers. We had the job numbers that's coming out. We also had the Feds that's coming out. Again, this is all in your events calendar on the website. But after the election, the Feds are going to have their meeting. And that's going to be something to keep in mind as well. First of all, I don't think we're actually going to know who the president is on November 3rd. I think this is going to probably boil over for a couple of days. I think that's going to make the markets crazy. I think that's going to make the markets not knowing who won the president, as the numbers and stuff start to come out. I think it's going to be so much drama. Trump going to be, at his height. The Democrats is going to be going berserk. I mean, it's going to be crazy. All right. So anything can go. Taking a look at the NASDAQ, which is the tech stock. So we got a little rally this week in the NASDAQ. I mean, that was about it. And again, it's at its 100 moving average right here at this floor. So the question is, will the NASDAQ hold up, or will it continue to break through? I don't know. I think that if Trump wins, that is going to be negative for these tech stocks because, Trump is really not feeling these tech companies coming against him for this election. Okay. I was telling you guys last week, there is a, I don't know if it's a documentary. Yeah, it's like a documentary. I believe it's on Netflix. One of my friends recommended me see it, but it's the guys who used to run Google and Facebook and all that. And it was talking about how they use, social media to steer and manipulate people's behaviors. And this is true. This is what they can do. So a lot of times, and I come from radio media broadcast. You could do it with media broadcast, but you could do it even better with social media because of the smartphones. Now you have more access to people's data, and you can build predictive models to do all these things. Where in radio, or when you should buy an ad at radio, they'll ask you how many frequencies, how many people you want to reach, and they'll tell you what zones you could target. They'll blast out X amount of hundreds of thousands of people, and your turnaround and all these other different metrics. So the more people you can reach, the more you can get your point across for whatever you're trying to sell or whatever the case may be. But now with social media, they have a even greater sense of control over over society. So we're seeing social engineering at its best. Anyway, it's a documentary about it. These guys were the guys who was running the top of Google, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. And they're pretty much talking about it. It's evident that they can do that. They can hide stories. They could do all kind of things, but they're using it to try to steer the election. So Trump and the Republicans are not feeling it. Jack Dorsey got grilled this week. I think Twitter fell like 20% or something crazy. But they are really about to step in on these social media companies. If Trump is president, you're going to see that. So I think they're going to be the losers if Trump wins. If Biden wins, I think that they are going to win. Okay. I think that Amazon is going to win regardless. Okay. And this is the reason why is because people are shopping online more than ever. If the country goes back on a lockdown, okay, which is, again, highly probable, definitely is going to happen if Biden wins, and people are going to be back shopping online. So your focus has to be stick with the online companies, right? The Zooms and all of that, people going online, schools going back online, people going back shopping online. And that's a huge blow to, the restaurants and, businesses like that who depends on that foot traffic. They are going to be slaughtered and they're not going to be able to come back. Okay. So that's going to be interesting. So the NASDAQ companies, they could hold up. I think that it, really boils down to, who the president is going to be and what kind of policies they're going to have that's going to steer towards that. Now, this is an interesting development. All right, I'm going to switch you guys over to, let's take a look at the dollar. All right, so the dollar has a pretty good technical pattern here, okay? This is one of those off the floor bounces that, we typically see. You see that the levels have held here. Price has moved upwards from there. Okay, not straight up, but it's had definitely moved north. And so it's moving to a counter trend setup, right? And the 100 moving average is right here. I think we could definitely see the dollar at least slam up to here. But what even looks even better would be if the dollar came up to here, okay, to the 200 moving average. I don't think we'll get much higher than that. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But it is actually looking bullish. So if the dollar is bullish, then what does that mean for gold? Do you guys know? What does that mean for gold? We're in a squeeze here. So if the dollar is going up, okay, then that is normally counterproductive for gold. I think we have to watch out for that. All right. So if you want to play the dollar, you have UUP. Okay. This is a counter trend trade. All right. Counter trend setup. You got a buy trigger that's right here. You have that resistance that's right up here. My 786 is crossing that. Okay. But you have a squeeze. Okay. You had the trend that's coming upwards. So the question is, can it break through that and then come up to this target up here? All right. So UUP would be what you could play for that type of setup. So if the dollar is strengthening and gold should weaken. And so here's gold. All right. So again, my hypothesis may not come into fruition, but just taking a look at the technicals, this is what normally happens. The gold is up against the 100 moving average floor right here. Okay. You can see gold came down. Bingo. Gold's coming down. Bingo. Got a sell trigger here. Okay. We had a sell trigger here. Saw what happened. Sell trigger here. Saw what happened. Sell trigger is here. I don't want that to happen, but I think you need to anticipate for that to happen. If the dollar rise, gold will fall further. And this will be the next zone. Now, this is a great level to re-up on because this is a hard floor. This 200 is a hard floor. So just keep that in mind as that's a possible setup. And it's got a squeeze in here too. So I don't really know what we're going to see with this level of volatility. But if you see the dollar move up, then you cool can believe that gold is going to be going down. All right. Same thing for silver as well. Another development is let's look at oil. All right. So if we take a look at oil, what's interesting is that oil is starting to spill over, which is good at the pumps. You know, you guys get the cheap gas, which is good for consumers. But normally oil is another indicator for inflation. Okay, when you see that oil rise, prices rise, and when you see oil fall, you know, prices of things either stay the same or could come down, but it's better than rising. So with oil actually selling off, okay, this is normally deflationary, okay. But the weird thing is that when oil actually falls, this is good for stocks. So you'll see stocks do the reversal thing. And when you see oil rise, you normally will see the stocks to fall. So we're actually not seeing that take place right now, but that's interesting. But we do have some of the oil stocks that are squeezing. You got, you know, geez, Louise, we have. All right, so if you take a look at Marathon Petroleum, okay, that's a squeeze setup right there. If you take a look at EOG, that is in a squeeze setup. We take a look at Hess, that is a squeeze setup also. So I think that oil is going to break out. Don't know which direction oil is going to break out at. I think that oil will benefit from a Trump presidency. Excuse me. Okay. So, you know, Biden is running on the whole clean energy thing, right? And then Trump is running on the whole America is independent on oil and this, that, and the third. So we could see this, you know, this oil solidify, you know, up here and could solidify right here this range and then start to reverse up. But I don't really know. But I think we, you know, definitely should watch this. But I think that a Trump presidency that the oil will benefit from that. I think that Biden will be more harmful for that industry. So if Biden wins, then I think that you'll see this thing shoot down even further. All right. So with that being said, I think I pretty much covered all. Bonds. Okay. So we have bonds also. And then you have the same thing with bonds. Bonds, you know, normally investors pile into bonds for safety. Although you saw some frightening movements in the market last week, you saw bonds sell off also. Okay. And there's no yields here. All right. And so that's interesting because it's like, where are investors going for safety? Well, we just looked at the dollar charts. So maybe they are hoarding in cash. If dollar strengthens, that let us know that investors are moving back into cash. They look like they don't want any parts of bonds right now, but I think that with the Federal Reserve speaking, you know, their decision this week, I think that Wall Street after the election, they may be anticipating for the Feds to do more manipulation with the yields on the longer end of the curve. Okay. And so these are all developments that we got to look out for, which is crazy. We can see right now the markets are slightly red right now. Which, you know, this is not bad. Okay. This is not bad. This is not bad. Just take a look at the big three. These are not really bad. As we get up in the morning, you take a look at this for you guys that's on the website. You know, we'll keep our eyes on that. If we see this development start to get crazy, we're definitely going to call out what we see. And then Tuesday, I think is going to be bananas. I think the whole week is going to be bananas because I don't think we're going to get a conclusion this week, but we'll see. All right. So with that being said, I'll take a look at some things for you guys or any questions that you guys have. We could take a look at that, and then we'll bring the session to to a close here. All right. Anything that you guys want to look at? Let's see. Okay, so Johnson said he think that oil will actually do better under Biden. Oil does better under in regulated environment. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I think. We see what oil did over the past 4 years under Trump. I mean, I think that your assessment, it could be. I mean, it very well could be. With oil going down under Trump, you got to understand that it's not helping the oil companies. All right, they're heavily in debt, and with the loss of profits, again, this is a part of Saudi, OPEC. OPEC is really controlling a lot of this, but Trump has actually kind of moved against OPEC. And you got America pumping oil, then you got Saudi and the Russians, they on the other side of it. So when America is pumping more oil, it's cutting their pocketbook. And we talked about this before, that they believe that Saudi and the Russians are coming for America's lunch when it comes to oil, because they know the American companies, they piled up in a lot of debt under the Obama years. And with the whole, lockdown, the panic, the global pandemic, a lot of these companies are going to go bankrupt if they already haven't, and they're not going to be able to come back, which, would be good for the oil markets. But I believe it can go either way. I mean, the prices have been down, but yeah, I think that, your assessment could be right, because if Trump is going to pump more oil, that's not going to be good for, the OPEC countries, right? So yeah, good assessment. What else you guys got? I told you we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin chart too, so let me just pull that up. And Bitcoin is still roaring. All right, cool. And that's what I was seeing with Bitcoin here, was the symmetry. I was taking that symmetry. I thought we was going to get the symmetry completion there, but we didn't. We actually got the symmetry right here. So this move, like this move, that was the anticipation, and it led right here to that $1,400 target. Bitcoin is actually starting to breach the $1,400 target right now as we speak. It doesn't mean it's going to stay up there, but if it does, the natural next level will be 15,000. Said 1,400, but 14,000. It'll be 15,000 be the next target. But my next zone up here at the 1618 is 17,000. If Bitcoin goes there, which we could see that, it is in an overbought territory. So I told people to, ratchet up on those profits or skim some off the top. You don't have to empty the whole thing, but you should have been in, back here or back here, and you should be profit taking up here. And so, again, with money coming out of equities with the volatility, we could be seeing money from equity side getting pumped in on the Bitcoin side. You could be seeing that. Not too sure, but that's what we also could be seeing that as well. Yeah. But Bitcoin is actually looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Looking to hit those next levels. All right. So let me ask you this: who do you guys think is going to actually win the election? What do you think about shorting Nicola? Okay. So, yeah, you guys tell me who you guys think is going to win the election. I mean, it's going to be tricky. I don't really know. It's crazy. I posted even on my Facebook page, was talking about how the polls are skewed to Biden. Okay, polls are skewed to Biden. Ella says that Trump may win. Dustin says that markets think that Biden win. Okay. Yeah, but who do you actually think is going to win? I want to know, who do you guys actually think is going to win? This is just an internal poll here with us. Who do you guys think is actually going to win the election? It's tricky. It is so tricky. And I don't think it's going to be close. But I think it's a lot of elements that's going to be taking place. Terry said you think that Trump will win, but it's going to be tricky. Man, it's gonna be tough. This is what I'm saying. I don't think we're gonna have a conclusion on November 3rd. No, I don't think we're gonna have a conclusion. I think this is gonna rock the markets by not having a conclusion. I think it's gonna be tough. I think that, and as I posted on my feed, that I think that it could go either way. But if you just listen to the polls only, the polls will say that, hey, Biden is winning. But I think there's a lot of silent conservatives that's out there that are not as vocal, and I think that it will be a blind spot if you think that it's just going to be a landslide for the Democrats, as the polls will have it seen. It also seen that it was going to be a landslide last time against Hillary, and we saw what happened. And so you have society where people are afraid to speak because nobody wants to be called a bigot or a racist or a coon or any other derogatory term. And that's what happens on like social media. You see when anybody try to speak about it. I mean, you get attacked if you're against somebody else's views. I think it's okay. I mean, we're in America, right? Everybody has the freedom to like what you like, who you like. That's your right, you know. But we have a society that, you know, you are ostracized if you are against, you know, the other side. And we see a lot of hostility on that. And I think that what happens with that is that you shut people up, and therefore you have no idea what their intentions are. You don't want to actually shut up your enemy. You want your enemy to speak, right? If that's your enemy, your adversary, right? I'm a chess player, right? I love chess. But you know, if you read books like The Art of War, Sun Tzu, I don't have it in here. I got it in my library. But it's a great book, but you have to strategize, right? And so you got one crowd that's very vocal, and then you have another crowd that may want to be vocal, but have not been vocal, because if you think about it, most of the schools, most of the professors are liberals. A lot of liberals control a lot of these, you know, Silicon Valley is all liberal, Hollywood, everything. And so they have the upper hand when it comes to the media broadcasting, right? With the social engineer, have you thinking that, oh, it's chaos all over the world. So many people are dying for COVID, whatever the narrative is, they can control it. But when you have them ostracizing people, then you shut people up. And then you have people that are quiet, their views haven't changed. They're just not going to be vocal about it, because you had a lot of companies that fire people. If somebody where, you know, if they support, I guess what president, they can be fired, right? You have schools, if kids are, you know, talking about support of the president, you get suspended. And so I think that people have learned that, okay, in this society, we can't win this way. So they just be quiet about it. They don't talk about it. And I think that you have to watch out for those people. Will they show up at the ballots? All right. That is, I think, going to be critical. And I think that the Democrats have not seen this move on a chessboard. They will be caught blindsided again. So I think that you have to watch out for that. But I think that Biden has a lot in his favor. Biden has, again, Wall Street in his favor. He got all the tech giants that's in his favor. So he got every handicap there is to win. So I think he has a high probability of winning, actually. And I think that the outcome, whether he win or whether Trump wins, I think that if I think that if Trump wins, we'll see more violence than if Biden win. I think that we'll see, you know, the very vocal left, the far left, you know, go bananas. You know, they went crazy last time, but I think it'll be bananas. In fact, this weekend, a couple of reports of businesses that's boarding up. You know, anytime you see businesses boarding up before an election, I mean, geez, what are they preparing for, right? And Ludwig von Mises, he always talk about the economizing man is always in a state of forecasting. Money makers, economizing means that you're, you know, entrepreneur, basically looking to make money. Always forecasting. You got business people that's forecasting chaos and destruction. We saw record amounts of guns and ammo being purchased because people are preparing for this. And in Ray Dalio, you know, books talking about, you know, the war of the haves and the have-nots. You know, all these things that's taking place right now. I mean, you know, we've been ahead. I've been teaching you guys for like the past 2 years. You go back to every video recorded, go 2 years ago, you can see I share with you guys what I've learned and my analysis. And I think it's all interesting perspectives, you know. But we're at a time unlike any other time in history, man. So that's why I say that there's really no models. I know Ray Dalio says that we're at a time that resembles the 1930s, the Great Depression. Actually, when he looks at these different models, this is the closest the model that fits where we are right now. And we haven't felt the pain yet. That's the whole problem. We haven't felt the pain yet. Um, so there's more pain that's going to come because this is not the end. The end is just not going to be good. So you got guys like Ray Dalio, these guys is coming out, ultra billionaires, trying to paint the story that, hey, I'm not the fault that you are poor. Okay. I am not the fault that you are poor. So please don't come and kill me. Don't hurt me. Don't try to take away all my wealth. And trying to tell you it's the interference of the Federal Reserve. And we wrote an article that's on the website. But you guys have not checked it out. I'm always trying to break things down to bricks and pounds so the everyday person can understand all the stuff that's happening. And you know, the articles, I've got a couple articles here. And the last one that I wrote here is how to use asset ownership as your savings account. This is a very valuable lesson. This is what the rich do. Because if you have assets, when the feds come in to intervene in the economy, okay, assets, that's what they're doing is inflating assets. So if you own an asset, the feds is going to do the work for you. They're going to blow it up. Okay. And so therefore you're going to get richer. So the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer because the poor does not own any assets. So you got to understand that. So the key is to have assets. So I've been trying to school you guys on this. Definitely share these articles or what have you. I've been talking about a lot of stuff. Even this article here, the income and wealth inequality is fair, but is it healthy or harmful? I'm raising interesting questions, but I'd like to hear from you guys on it. You guys can see this here. What'd you say, me? So you don't know either way the world is in debt. You're right. So it's going to see how either one is going to bring the economy up. The question is, can they bring the economy up, right? Trump said he's not leaving either way. Oh, Trump gonna have to leave. I mean, he gonna have to leave. It's gonna be by choice or by force if he loses. More popular vote towards Trump than last election. Really, that's interesting. Have they stopped receiving the mail ballots? Have they issued a cutoff? I don't know. That's the interesting thing. I know they were saying that the whole system, how they actually count it, would be overwhelmed with how they were trying to do all this mail-in ballots, So I believe they have record amounts. And so it's going to take time for them to get through that. And then you got to go through the ones that's filled out wrong or incomplete. It's crazy. Jonathan says, I don't know. They look a lot of monuments down they took a lot of monuments down this summer. I know that there are some people who feel a way about that. Cutoff is election day. Okay. So elders. Okay. Say it's not their fault. Yeah. They have done all they can do. Blame the administration. You don't have a stimulus. Right. So you talking about, Powell. So Powell, I think all eyes is going to be on Powell after the election. So we get the election and then we get Powell coming in. Wall Street is going to be expecting Powell to come in with the candy, come in with the heroin for the heroin addict, which is the economy, which is all debt, debt, debt. So the Fed's medicine is the thing that only hurts the economy. So that's the whole thing. And then you have to say, okay, Joe Biden's tax policy, it is going to be catastrophic on these companies. It is going to be catastrophic, man. So you have people that want to punish the rich, but don't understand the outcome of you punishing the rich is that you're going to destroy lots of jobs in the process of doing so, which actually hurt you. And so that's why I try to tell people to lead with your head, not your heart. Scope things, take a look at things from an economic analysis, so that you can remove the emotion from your decision. So you have to think like, what's best for America, right? Do you want to see America fall? Or do you want to see America win? Because if America wins, then you win. Your children are going to win. Your grandkids are going to win, right? But, me, I'm more, from my studies, I've become, free market, advocate, again, the teacher himself, liberating the markets, freedom, small government, because with the government expanding and taking over, it kills the economy. You can't have that. And this is some of the stuff that Trump was saying, like, we cannot actually shut down the economy. And that's another thing. You think, are you going to shut down the economy? How can you even have essential workers? right? If there's this, this biblical plague virus thing that people catches it and they turn into stone, or it's so catastrophic, you don't actually need a government to tell people to stay their ass in the house. I mean, think about it. You see somebody catch some shit that make their skin bubble up and pop up, bruh, you're gonna have to get the government to get me out the house. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna have to get the government to get me. I'm not going out the house. They got some shit out there that's making your skin bubble up and all of that. But see, COVID situation again, it's like it's symptoms are just like a flu and things. So people are not taking it that serious. The fatalities happen with elderly people. It's crazy. It's like they have some kind of a virus that's specifically designed to kill old people, which is crazy. But think about it. If it was a real like a virus, like on a biblical proportion, right? Would you send your kids to go work at the grocery, wherever your kid have a job at, as a parent, right? Or even yourself? Like, would you even send your husband out there or your wife to go to work if you seeing people turning into stone, skin bubbling up, or whatever the case may be from this virus or bubonic plague? No, we're staying in the house. Forget about it. Government gonna have to get you out the house so you can go work. And you say, well, they're essential workers, but they're exposed to everybody all day, and essential workers is not dying out, B. They just not. And so I think what Trump was saying, like, we got to get, we just got to get comfortable with just having this virus. And, but shutting down the economy would be catastrophic. Think about if you can't get no food, right? I mean, you shut everything down. Like, how are you going to survive? In fact, it's happening in Nigeria right now. I posted some things on maybe I posted on the Twitter feed. You guys can see the Twitter feed if you're on the Wall Street. I don't know if I posted up here or not. It'll be up here somewhere. But in Nigeria, we talk about that Great Reset also. I've been talking about it for a while, so make sure you guys check that out. But in Nigeria, that's the thing that happened over there. They had, people were starving, and the people in Nigeria said, "Mother F COVID, we're gonna die from starvation. We don't have food." And so they done busted open warehouses that the government was storing food in, and people are just, it's really sad. Bring tears to your eyes. You seeing people are starving and dying of starvation, and they're just passing over bags of rice so they can survive for food, right? You think about it, you'll have a situation like that. There's no essential worker if you have something that's so deadly, right? And again, I lost my grandmother with this situation, so I understand it. But what I'm saying is that I don't think it is on the level that the media is trying to have it at. I think that is something that is more manageable. We can manage better than doing lockdowns. The lockdowns are catastrophic. Catastrophic. I took my kids to the flea market last week. I don't know if you guys ever went to a flea market. Flea market is like the perfect example of free market capitalism. We got guys out here that's painting pictures. We got people that's selling food. We got people selling clothes. Even my daughter, she bought a taser, right? It's like, I got a taser, it's popping that thing, right? But it's the place that people go. You pay a little rent, you stay there, and people walk in, and people can freely exchange with you for your goods. That's no government intervention. It's free market exchange. So even, when I was talking to my son, I'm like, yo, as we're walking through the flea market, I may need to do a little video clip. I'm like, this is the stock market. This is the same thing. Any market is like the flea market, right? The stock market is the same way. This guy over here, he's selling hot dogs and funnel cakes and all that. This guy over here, he's selling clothing. This lady over here, she's selling military gear. This guy's selling knives and blah, blah, blah. And so the stock market is the same way. You walk in there, you could freely buy Amazon if you want. You could buy NVIDIA if you want. You could buy the Russell ETFs. This is a place, a market that you can go and exchange goods and get these assets. So I use it for, a teaching as a lesson for my kids. Definitely take your kids to a flea market so they can understand free market capitalism. That's a real world scenario. And you think if the government comes in and say, oh, no, you can't sell that device, you can't sell it for that price. We're going to do price control. You can only sell it for, they're going to sell this thing for 25 cents. And how does that impact me as a free market entrepreneur? It cuts my profits. My profits is based off of supply and demand, right? Off of the price system, which is a natural phenomenon. So, you have to be careful when you're asking for more government control over society. And that is what's happening with America. America is actually going further close on the spectrum towards socialism. And so we're not a full capitalist society because we have so many rules and regulations. All the rules and regulations make us more socialist. And so as we become more socialist, we're having the issues that we're having right now. And it's the government intervention, that's what causes these monopolies to take place, right? The monopolies that they're trying to get out. where you set the rules in there that allow them to monopolize. Whereas you have a free market system, competition keeps prices down. Competition keeps everything in check. These are things that, you learn from, you know, Mises Christ, as I say. He has lots of books. This guy here, I have all kind of books, but this guy talks about it. It's a natural phenomena that man cannot recreate. I call it the God calculation. It's so wonderful. We have the price system, right? You can take a look at other economists like Milton Friedman and those guys who actually studied under Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Hayek, his student. Thomas Sowell, you guys know Thomas Sowell, the famous black economist. He's also studied under F.A. Hayek, who's a student of Mises. All these guys come from this school. So you'll see a lot of the things that they talk about are very, very similar. They have minor differences though. But yeah, like Elder says, you may end up like a Venezuela. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I want to make sure that you guys understand. You have to be careful what you ask for, because what people think that the government intervention will help to bring justice or equality. And there are lots of documentaries. You can look on Amazon Prime. You can look on YouTube, all over the place. It 100% always end in disaster, because the whole system to be free is a natural phenomena. But what man wants to do is to control society. And so they want to try to come in and control. And every time they try to do that, it distorts the system and it causes craziness that brings in destruction. But at the same time, it expands government. It only enriches government. So the only people that gets more powerful and more rich are the government. The people that become more poor, of course, they're going to attack the rich. People who's making money, they're going to become poorer. But because the rich are becoming poorer, so does the poor become poorer. They don't actually get better. They actually become poorer. Those opportunities, you start taxing them, them jobs are gone, cutting. You start raising minimum wages, robots and automation come in and take your job. People are mixing moral issues with economic issues. So you have to look, is this really a moral situation or is it an economic situation? And then if you say it's a moral issue, then who is the judge? And this will always happen with socialist, empires. They become like dictatorships. It's like, if you're against this person who says this is right or this is wrong, then you are the enemy and you will die. And so they all become tyrants. And so it's like they just all become tyrants. That's just the way it is. It's not, a system of freedom. So, again, on my even on my Twitter feed, I showed you guys about the United Nations. I showed you guys about the World Economic Forum, which is right here. These are not conspiracies, you guys. You guys can take a look right on their website. They don't hide it. You're just not looking. Look, the Great Reset. I learned about the Great Reset from Ray Dalio, who was talking about it. He's been talking about it for years. I mean, this is before now. He's talking about the Great Reset, right? Even in this book, and he talked about the Bible. He talked about the Bible, this year of Jubilee. You guys ever heard of Jubilee? I didn't even know about this stuff. And the Jews used to live this way. And the Bible had this whole system, which basically described capitalism. You can make X amount of money in year 1, year 2, year 3. Every year, as you get closer to year 50, your profits will decline. And it's supposed to be like the Sabbath of Sabbaths, 7 times 7, 49 years. So in year 49, the system is pretty much broke. And in year 50, you have to do a reset. So in year 49, what he expects, what the Jews were expecting is that over 49 years, you have capitalized so much that you have so much wealth that your brothers and sisters who lost their property, which you got to have property to have a capitalist society, private property, those who lost their properties and sold themselves into slavery. And this is in the Bible. I'm not trying to preach to you guys. We'll look at it. It's in Leviticus, the book of Leviticus. Your brothers and sisters who sold themselves into slavery, you are to buy them out of slavery, buy their property back, because you are wealthy enough to go out and bring your family back together. Because over the whole profit loss system, basically, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers, And so for those who lost, for those who win, go back and save your brothers and sisters. Go and buy them out, buy their freedom back. And that's what the Great Reset is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about forgiving the debts. If they owe the debts, forgive them, and we restart the system. So Ray Dalio was talking about, he was like, yeah, the whole reset thing has been, when I studied, I seen it's been going back since the beginning of the time, all the way in the Bible. I was like, oh, that's crazy, right? And so we're seeing that now where the system is so messed up and they're trying to do everything they can to keep it going. And you can see the outcome is going to be the destruction of the dollar. We're already seeing that that's happening right now. That's why a lot of investors are buying gold. And then you're seeing China that's rising up, that is contesting America for to be the number one superpower. And America loses its reserve currency status, it's a wrap. It's still gonna have a society and everything, but it's gonna be a total different world. And he's talking about they're trying to create this new world order. And so you have this thing right here, the Great Reset of 2021. You got the United Nations, their 2021 plan, and then they have a 2030 plan. And so you got to see the big picture. Who's a part of these organizations? Okay, these are the most powerful elite in the world, and they're trying to do what Mises was saying that we cannot have. You cannot have a controlled society. Okay, and this book here, he talks about this. You cannot. It is catastrophic. It will not work. He said even if they had all data. And I don't remember them having computers, but this guy in here talking about them having computers. I mean, Hayek and them talking about, even if they had all this, knowledge from computers, even if they had every knowledge, they still could not control the economy. They want to bring it under control. And so I think